So next we're gonna have Peter come up.
Okay.
He's a really cool guy from DC. We are really excited to have him here. So without further ado.
So I'm here to talk about startup coalitions. So I have my own startup. I'm actually involved in several different startups. Also workshop coordinator for Lean Startup Machine and general contractor. And like maybe a bunch of you, I'm doing all this stuff on the side and trying to get something up and trying to get something moving. I prefer this to sort of like talk about me instead. I'm just I love psychology, directing, acting, theater, technology, education. What I've done is just meld all that stuff together, and so that's sort of me. And I like to find ways to do stuff that's good and rewarding, and also reward people who are doing good. And I'm all about the collaborations and getting people together to help each other out, and so we can all make a success of the things that we want to do. Because there's so many great ideas out here, and everything should have a chance. I don't know about you guys up here. I'm from down in DC. We've got the perennial problem where you're trying to get some customers. Doesn't matter where you start on this, but you might need to build something or add something to your site, so you don't have the time or the money to do that, or get somebody to help you put it together, or figure out SEO or graphic design or whatever you need. So you try to get some income or maybe some investors, but nobody wants to touch you until you've already shown that you've got the customers, and so you get into this circle here where you just can't get out of it. So one of us started brainstorming on how we could possibly solve this problem and be able to overcome this. So the background on this is most people think of money as a pie. Like there's a certain number of dollars out there and how much of the pie you're getting. And so it ends up creating this thing where there's a bunch of battles, who gets more of the pie. And if you get some of the pie, then I'm not getting some of the pie. And then it creates this kind of stress around it. It doesn't really need to be there because money is really a circulatory system. I remember when I first found out that somebody was making the point that during the Great Depression, there was the same amount of money in the United States, but it was in the hands of less people. And what happens is it's in the movement of money. The government issues it, the government gets it back out, unless it's going outside of the country, but even then, you're getting currency backing from other countries. Everything's a flow. Money's a flow, and it's all on how you use it. So you can set up a flow within the community as well, which is to say that if one of you is, like let's say you're a developer and you need some graphic design work, somebody else in this room is probably a graphic designer. Hire the other person in the room. They can then hire that SEO person. That SEO person then might need some development work, might come back and ask you. And at each step in that way, that same, say, $100, for however many hours of work that's going through, is income on your balance sheet. And it's an expense that goes on, a tax-deductible expense in many cases as well. And so that same $100 can bring each company up just a little bit. And so you can help your community by hiring the other people in your community. In reality, it's a little bit not as smooth and as clean as that. And of course, you're always looking for the chances when the money comes in. And this is really the key to the startup coalition systems as we've been sort of looking at them and discovering them. If we can set up the networks and know what needs to be done in the community, and then find just that one company that has enough going on that they can pull in some money and then start hiring other people in the community, then that one investment can now build up 3, 4, 5 different startups in the community instead of just one. Okay. But there's a problem, which is that if you, instead of hiring your developer friend here, go to Odesk, hire some cheap people off from a Russian site or Brazil, and we see people like sinking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on these offshore sites, getting back really crappy code that doesn't run. They're have headaches galore. I'm sitting here saying I could do that for half the price. When you do that, watch out, because that's when the money disappears from the community. And when the money disappears, startups die. So what we're really trying to do is just get to ideas for how to get startups to be able to help other startups. And coalition models and different ways of working together. Yeah, this basic format, you probably are doing this, or you may have know some people who are doing this. Are basically doing swaps. They're going to the their friend over there and say, okay, well, I'll do some development work for you if you do some graphic design work for me. And they either just some other things coming in, crowdfunding. Next year, this is going to be a lot better as far as bringing income into the community. Here's another one. This came out of the Lean Startup Machine in November, and I got second prize for this idea. And it's basically, how many people here have like a software product or a service that they're running? Okay, and you guys have a bug list, a place for people to go ahead and post the problems with it. Is that publicly available? How many people have it publicly available? Okay, first step, do that. Second step, give a way for people to vote and rate. And the third thing that we're working on is to not only vote and rate for the ones that they want, but then put a dollar amount behind it. Our research was going around and talking to a bunch of different project managers in the area. And they're saying, I'm using WordPress, I'm using a Joomla, and we're using a jQuery thing, and it does everything I want it to do except one thing. And so now I'm hiring somebody in India to rebuild this thing for me because I can't get a developer to do that one thing. And it's like, I'm spending $1,000 on this guy to rebuild this thing. I would rather pay the developer, but he won't return my email. Wasted opportunities. Huge wasted opportunities. So if you've got a service, if you've got a product out there, give a public way for people to not only post your bugs, but also to go and say, hey, me too. Yeah, I have this problem too. Let them tell you what is the most important thing to them, because that's what kind of we're all about, right? We want to serve the customer better. We want to have that better service for the people we're doing stuff for. Yeah, so here's another model that we came up with, joint development program. It's taking open source developments, taking that sort of thing, and allowing multiple people to contribute, a way to track their contributions, a way to track contributions at different levels and different quality, and then build it all together so that everybody gets a total percentage. And then as the product keeps selling, then that gets distributed amongst all the people that work on the product. The thing that's happening a lot in DC is people are going around a lot talking about co-founders and trying to find co-founders. And to me, it's getting this place where it's kind of like dating. But you're sitting down at your first date and you're asking, so, what kind of wedding dress do you think would be great for a wedding? And, how do you feel about kids? They're like, wait a minute. I don't know anything about you yet. I know how you are. I don't know whether or not you fit. And so that's a big part of it too. So we're trying to build a community to have those discussions, talk about who we are, why we do what we do. Not every model fits in every field. Came up with this one for I call it a anti-CrowdSpring platform. I don't know how many people have run into CrowdSpring. The thing about CrowdSpring is the customers love it, love it, love it. Designers hate it, hate it, hate it. And the way it works is that the customer puts out an advertisement to the designers. They do all this work, they come up with a design, they run through this competition. You could be there with 30 people, 100 people, 10 people, you don't know. And in the end, the customer picks one of the designs and pays just that person. And all the rest of the designers work for free. Wow. So designers hate it. But I came up with another way to do that in a more constructive way, where you can actually comment on other designers' works and contribute, and everybody who contributes gets a portion of the income that's coming in as set up and creep on the customers. And it starts with the customers. All right, so being part of the coalition, we found really comes to these first two questions. What do each of you need in your startups to grow? And what is it that you have to offer the community? Interact and go together. I got a few more things on here, but I'll take a pause and stop right here because I think I'm probably at about my 15 minutes.
Just about. Let's count down the seconds. So, thank you.
Sure.
So a lot of personal questions and all the other stuff. But he said a couple things that I think everybody should really take home. Startups helping startups is important, especially when you have a growing community like ours. And not only just, I hear us do this all the time. I just did it today. Hey, how's everything going at your startup? How's everything going with what you're doing? And I say, you know, it's busy. You know, I think we should go a little further, a little deeper, because we all have something to offer each other. So don't be afraid to, you know, be honest about where you are, because that's how people can really help each other.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know we go to the startups down there, you know, it's the usual pat answers, but some of us discovered that when you say, well, I'm having problems because I can't get over this hurdle. And a lot of people are afraid to say the things that are having problems because it looks like, you know, you're not doing so well, and maybe, you know, you're rockier than people think you are. And there's all these ego things, perceptions that we hold up. You know, but when you break through those things and let other people know that you're struggling on a couple things, they'll let you know what they're struggling on, and then you start finding those connections.
Right. So I think the magic to that, though, is last point is, don't just throw up all the stuff you think you need when you're not offering anything back, right? So it's horrible to walk up to someone and say, you know, I need a logo, I need this, I need that, I need this. I heard you can do it. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have anything to contribute back that adds value to that person, you know, be very conscious of that. So
if you have money, that's okay. Then you can do that.
Yeah. And I don't expect anybody to hire him because he told everybody to hire local. So,
Okay.
no, I know that was just terrible. Anyway, so last we got Dave coming up. He's our Grand Pumbaa. He's gonna make everybody smile.